Ladies and gentlemen, seekers of light and secret knowledge wherever you may be, you are listening to Points of Light Radio, the podcast dedicated to taking you past the apron and behind the closed doors of lodges everywhere. And here is your host, Stan Miller.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to Points of Light Radio. It's great to be with you again today. I hope you're learning, as I am, from my conversations with my guests here. In this particular segment of Points of Light Radio, I'm going to attempt to shed some light on the Orange Lodge. Now, the Orange Lodge, or Orange Order, as it's also known, is a sectarian organization that was founded in Lowell County, Armagh, Northern Ireland, in the year of 1795. I hope I didn't pronounce that name wrong. But prior to 1795, there were Orange societies throughout the United Kingdom and parts of Europe. The Orange Lodge commemorates the victories of King William III, aka William of Orange, and his forces in Ireland in the early 1690s, especially the Battle of the Boyne. Now, to join, one must be Protestant and a believer in the supremacy of Jesus Christ. Now, let's make a note of that, because if you notice with a lot of the other organizations I've covered here so far, they are non-sectarian, and they only require a belief in the supreme being. And in the case of the Buffaloes, if I remember correctly, you didn't have to believe in a god of any kind. Now, next to the Freemasons and the Oddfellows, the Orange Lodge is probably one of the more storied organizations in existence today. Now, a lot of people remember that here in Canada, that Mackenzie Bowell was an Orangeman and Grand Master of his lodge, and I believe Grand Master of the Grand Lodge, if I remember correctly, as well. I may be wrong on that, but a lot of people forget that, or even are blissfully unaware of the fact that Canada's first Prime Minister, John A. Macdonald, was also an Orangeman. Right? But my guest today, in this particular segment of Points of Light Radio, is a gentleman named Owen Snowdon. If you recall, Mr. Snowden appeared in a previous segment of Points of Light Radio where he talked about his involvement in the Buffaloes. He's a member of quite a number of fraternal organizations over there in the United Kingdom, and it's wonderful to welcome him back. This should be interesting, shouldn't it? But are you still hungry for light? Are you still thirsty for knowledge? Then just trim your lamp. Follow me. Mr. Snowden, welcome back to Points of Light Radio.
It's great to be back.
Now, you are a member of the Orange Lodge there in the United Kingdom. Why don't you tell us, my listeners and viewers, just recap about yourself.
Yeah. Basically, I'm a member of several organisations. I'm a member of 19 lodges. I'm also, I run a page called Fraternal Masonic History, where I discuss about different fraternities such as the Orange Order, the REOB, Knights of the Golden Horn, the Oddfellows, a lot of different organisations. I believe the history is important and we should remember it. And it shouldn't be forgotten, and it's a good way to educate the general public and bring members in.
Well, tell us about the Orange Lodge.
It's a fraternity of Protestants. You must be a Protestant to be a member. You must be loyal to the Crown and Constitution. The organisation is all over the world. It's in places, even, believe it or not, Ghana,
I saw that.
Canada, New Zealand, Australia, England, Scotland, even Wales. It's all over.
Well, how long have you been a member?
How long have I been a member? You asked me a question there. Probably about 4 years. About 4 years, I would say, minimum.
And what drew you to the Orange Lodge?
what brought us to the Orange Order was basically, I loved the history of it. I loved the cultural side, and I loved my religion. But I saw all those things, and I thought this organisation is an organisation for me.
So, what exactly does the Orange do? Are they, like I said, are they much like? Now, you were on here before discussing the Buffaloes. Are they do charity work for others?
Yeah.
Like in themselves.
Yeah, they do charity work. Unlike the Buffaloes, though, they don't drink in lodges. They don't smoke, eat, or anything in a lodge because it's a religious meeting. Basically, it's a religious meeting. We are a loyal organisation like the Buffs, but we're complete separate to that. It has nothing to do with us. We have a thing called the Loyal Families, where basically it's the Orange Order, the Apprentice Boys of London of Londonderry, and then you've got the Imperial Grand chapter of the British Commonwealth. Now, the Imperial Grand chapter of the British Commonwealth, that is an organisation once you, in England, let's say example, because it's different in different places in England, once you've reached the Royal Arch Purple, you are then invited into the Knights of the Imperial Grand Black chapter. From there, then you go through their degrees, which is about 10 degrees. But their order is very secretive, but very more religious.
Yeah, I heard about that. Much more reverent is what I've heard.
Yeah.
But the one thing that strikes people is, why do you parade? Is there not another way, shall we say, that you can commemorate the 12th, or is this just part of the tradition?
Well, a lot of people, like on the 12th of July, we parade to remember the Battle of the Boyne and remember what King Billy did for us, and why it's important to tell everyone why it's important, because it is an important part of British and Protestant history and should not be forgotten. We also do remembrance parades to commemorate and remember the First World War to the Second World War and all conflicts. Basically, we also do parades for religious reasons, but it's our right to walk those streets. It's our right to parade the Queen's Highway, as we say.
Well, and I do know that the Masons, you say you're a Mason, the Masons parade as well. So, I mean, it's not unique to the Orange. The
difference in England, though, is the Masons don't really parade much. Over here, I know in Newcastle, we parade only on Remembrance Sunday through the city centre with the military and stuff. But we don't, other than that, they don't parade. Now, the Orange, we parade used to be regularly. Now it's just usually in Newcastle, it'd be once a year.
Yeah. Well, what's the makeup of your lodge? Young, old? What do you?
Quite a young. My lodge's quite a mixture. We've got a lot of young and a lot of old. But I'm a member of Johnston Heroes 264. We meet in Newcastle, and basically our membership is, we struggle to get members, but in certain areas it flourishes because they get that young membership in and they know what to do. Like a lodge up in Carlisle, Abraham Action VC Memorial Lodge, 572. They do a lot of good, like you were saying before about charity work. They do a lot of charity work for for hospice and stuff like that, which is great.
Okay. Well, what has the Orange done for you?
What's the Orange done for me? It brought me a better understanding of my Protestant belief and my culture. And it, to be honest, makes you, when you're marching down that street with a lot of your fellow brethren, you feel a proudness inside you. You feel very proud when you're seeing everyone clapping and saying "God Save King Billy" and stuff like that, and you realise you're part of this. You're part of this big goal, which is to
remember the history of it.
Remember the history and to remember, basically just the history of it and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, I do appreciate you coming back here on Points of Light Radio and shedding some light on this, and I wish you And the Orange Order, all the best.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
All the best. You have yourself a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Owen Snowden, brothers and sisters. Wasn't that interesting? Shedding some light on the Orange Order. I don't feel we're done with the Orange Order or some of the other loyal orders that are out there. I will definitely have to cover this particular organization some more because I really believe we only really scratched the surface, don't you? I will also mention that, and I've mentioned this in some of my other Points of Light segments, that I did try to interview some of the Loyal Orange Lodges in Canada and didn't hear anything back. Right? But as I said, we will definitely have to cover the Loyal Orange Lodge a little further. So if you're a member of the Orange Lodge, or for that matter, some of the other organizations, the other loyal orders, such as the Independent Loyal Orange Institution, which is somewhat similar but different from the Loyal Orange Lodge, or for that matter, the Royal Black Preceptories. If you are a member of any of these organizations, just reach out to your worshipful master and nudge him in my direction. I will definitely feature your lodge or organization here. We will definitely as well have to have Mr. Snowden back here. And in fact, just to let you know, we will be having Mr. Snowden back here on Points of Light Radio, where he'll be discussing the Grand United Order of the Knights of the Golden Horn. I just heard you say, what? Who? Well, have you ever heard of them? I hadn't until I spoke to him. I just love this guy. He's so involved in fraternalism, and you can learn so much from him, right? I will, and if you look in the details section of this segment, I've enclosed a link to his website where he discusses a lot of these things. So go on and take a look at that. I encourage you to do that. But I'm afraid I'll have to part ways with you here, brothers and sisters. But before I go, I want to remind you that this podcast is available on both YouTube and Spreaker. Please share, like, and subscribe when viewing Points of Light Radio on YouTube. You can follow Points of Light Radio on my Facebook page at facebook.com/Points of Light Radio. My Twitter feed or Twitter handle is at PO Light Radio. You can see the link to my Spotify channel as well as my Points of Light Radio store, where you can go purchase some of my merchandise and represent this wonderful journey we're taking. I also want to point out that Points of Light Radio is available to advertise your fraternal store or event. If you go to my Points of Light Radio Facebook page, you will see the email address where you can reach out to me. But until next time, brothers and sisters, until we meet again, just step into the light.